Recording in progress.
All right. Welcome to South County Fire's Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, May 5th, 2026, 7 p.m. here at headquarters, and welcome to those that are joining us this evening virtually by Zoom. We'll call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock, and we'll begin. For those in the room, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Commissioners, you should have access to your meeting agenda here. And the first thing that we'll be looking for is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Second by Commissioner Chan. Awesome. Any discussion?
Chair, I just acknowledge that we have three commissioners online.
Three.
So Commissioner Wittes.
Commissioner Wittes is online. Commissioner Rowland is online.
Also liaison William Morris.
And liaison William Morris. Thank you, Commissioner Chan. And since we're on the topic of commissioners, Chair Kenny has an excused absent for this meeting, so put that into the record as well. All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. All right, the consent agenda, each piece is 4A. We're going to read that as May 5th, 2026 claims voucher totaling $1,137,345.90. Claims voucher 050526. And do we have to vote on that? Okay, great. We'll go ahead and do I have a motion to pass item 4A?
Second.
Commissioner Wonkelman was quick on the draw on that one. Any discussion on that motion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 4B. This will be consent agenda for April 2026 payroll summary and authorization. April 26 payroll summary and authorization. Do I have a motion or do I have a second?
Second.
Second for Commissioner Wonkelman. Any discussion? No discussion. And let's go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Rowland. And any abstention? None heard. Passes unanimously. This moves us to item number 5, approval of the meeting minutes. That'll be for 5A, April 21, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Wonkelman. Any discussion? No discussion. And let's go ahead and move to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any abstention or opposed? None heard. Passes unanimously. That moves us to item 6. I'd like to make a distinction for our guests. Tonight we'll be having both public comment, and then we'll follow that with a chief's report, a union report, and then eventually once we brief out the bond measure, we'll have a period for public hearing. So those are two distinct pathways. I just want to make sure that we don't confuse them. So this moves us to our segment, item number 6 for public comment. We'll begin here in the room, and I have one person here, Jay Grant, who wishes to make comment. Good evening, sir, and welcome. Please step up, and if you would, I think we're using a microphone.
Hello.
Is it on?
Is it on? Yeah.
There we go.
I can-
I can hear you. Please.
Hi, my name's Jay Grant. I'm a commissioner at the Port of Edmonds. And first thing I wanted to do is thank the commission and the department for all the good work, working with the department. We need a new boat, so I need to work with you on that. I was federal counsel for the U.S. Port Authorities after 9/11, worked with almost all the DHS, and we got that money thereafter. And So I was just talking to your communication director. One of the largest amount of incidents for the Coast Guard is literally directly outside Edmond. So I guess what I want to do is just say how important we understand emergency management is at the port. And also with the city, I've been working with the mayor since he started running on it. Personally, I'm still working. I am the director of the Interport Police, the International Organization of Airport and Seaport Police. We work with around the world in emergency management and active shooter. We've worked with about 64 different jurisdictions on mass event. And the biggest thing that's always the problem, whether it's Katrina or a lot of our airport shootings, which you think it might be kept within the airport, it's not. The city gets involved, the county gets involved, the state gets involved, and the politicians get involved, is communication. I've been fortunate to work with a lot of international countries, including the United Kingdom that has a JESSIP program. It's a joint program. And I'm sure you're familiar with some of these things, but we really, as Edmonds is joined, I know Edmonds has a long ways to go. And I'm hoping that we can figure out a way so that we're all talking together because they say the day you need to talk to someone is not the day to meet them. And so I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I've seen too many times where we have an incident and 911 goes down immediately. Uvalde, I'll finish up by saying if Uvalde, the school shooting, I was on the after action task force. We eventually, because the local police actually couldn't patrol, we had 400 officers down there and they had to use WhatsApp. So we had unsecured lines in effect down there, non-law enforcement lines talking to each other. And it took a while to get things together. So obviously planning is important. And we look forward as a resident of Edmonds and trying to figure out your new territories. I know people in Edmonds love to vote. So there's a lot of discussion going on at the moment about that. But I would encourage talks at every discussion about how we communicate and how we all work together, especially if we have something large. One thing that I'll end on, I was on the Tsunami Task Force for 2 years, and we looked at regions from Northern California to Alaska. And the number one issue that was left unresolved was communications. So thank you very much. And again, we appreciate very much what you do.
Can I respond to that?
Thank you, sir.
Respond to it?
Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, Commissioner, I think we met before. Yes, I really appreciate you come here to talk about that. I think the Port of Edmonds are really beautiful, about especially summertime. And then I think our staff can tell you about our 16, Marine 16, and how that was worked with Coast Guards and everything else in there. Yeah.
Any other commissioners? Thank you very much, sir, for your public comments. We're now turned
No,
to
the
the,
staff is going to respond a little bit about the Marine 16. Yeah, work with the port for the safety and everything else in there. Yeah.
anything else, Commissioner Chan?
You want to say something? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're with you, realizing that we received that boat after 9/11 and we've had it a long time. And we do operate with the Coast Guard quite a bit, like you said, and we actually have a very mature marine operator program at this point, as well as small boats for all the lakes. So love the open arm to the partnership, and we'll have to set up a meeting and talk soon.
Mr. Chan, anything else?
No.
Okay, any other commissioners, questions, comments? I'd like to turn now to our Zoom platform for any public comment. This is still on the public comment. Ms. Blankenship, do we have anybody on?
We do not.
All right. And I'm going to change back to the room just in case we missed anybody else for public comment. If not, we'll go ahead and close that. Thank you very much. Turn it now to item number 7 on your agenda for the chief's report. Good evening, Chief.
Thank you, Chair Fernahoff. I have two items for the chief's report. I'm going to try not to steal Christie's thunder here, but I do. Everyone knows I have to say something about EMS. Um, you know, I think we are a very unique fire department. I can tell you that. I travel around the states, sometimes internationally, sharing our programs. We are unique. We deliver an incredibly high performance program. As you know, we've received awards from the Congressional Services Fire Institute. We've been invited to the White House to share our programs years ago with community medicine. Yeah, I would say we're one of the most innovative fire departments in delivering care and reducing costs, not only for us, but for the entire healthcare system. And while all that is really nice, there is something, and I don't know what the magic is, but we deliver that high performance, high professional care. Our crews do it with incredible kindness. Our crews deliver medical care with kindness that is different as well. And I think that's what I'm most proud of. So with that, I will move on so that Christy has something to say when I'm done, and just share my other thing in my chief's report that I wanted to share was the wildfire risk coming up of our next season. I think everybody knows. I would say last year was unprecedented with the amount of calls we had in the green belts, large fires. We probably responded more with the Department of Natural Resources more than we ever have. And the predictions coming up for this year are concerning. If you look at the outlook for April, we are going to be drier and warmer in April. And then when you look at the next, when you look at May, I've got, hang on, my screen's being blocked here. So the May outlook, you can see we don't normally have that red in our corner of the country if you've seen these maps before. And then as we continue to, I'm waiting for it to advance here. If you continue to look out into May and June, you see Eastern Oregon and Eastern Washington starting to produce significant wildfire potential. But then once we get into June, July, you can see that we don't normally have red in that area of our state. So our things are changing for us, and I think this is the least amount of snowpack since 1981. We have dryness that we don't usually see until June. I think we've all felt the warmer weather. And I want to thank the board. You have supported our wildfire program. That is the brush rig we purchased within the last few years. We have special forestry hose equipped on our units, and we deploy out and get that experience. So I think there's a lot of forethought with the board, and thank you for the support, because I think it's our new reality. And that will conclude my chief's report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chief. Commissioners, comments, questions for the
Yeah.
chief?
Yeah, thank you. I think you mentioned about the medical service that we're done. Actually, today we have a meeting with the prior. He took a 12-hour shift right along and totally understand why we're so busy. Basically the ambulance was, the truck, whatever that they go on. And then I think one of the biggest challenges that the emergency room is so kind of line up and everything else that only tie up our truck, but also so I think that's something that I think we talked many times, addressing the problem with the emergency room being all lined up. You have to stay in lines and everything else, I think.
I'm presenting kind of the challenges, opportunities, and a better future for our EMS as the division. I'll be presenting tonight later on, and we're going to talk about exactly that, Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, no, that's great, because it's not just us, the whole system need to work. The
Yes.
emergency room need to be
Absolutely. Yep.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Wonkelman?
Thank you for your report. Absolutely do agree with the high professional care. Really appreciate it, seeing it firsthand. With the elevated threat in the wildland fires, what are we doing to be preventative rather than reactive? And how are we looking at really gearing up for this elevated threat as the season nears?
Well, and Chris, you might be able to talk. I know that one of the best ways we can do is prevention. In the past, uh, when I started my career, it was natural causes that caused the lightning strikes that caused the wildfires. Today, more of them are caused by humans. And so prevention and education is one of the best things we can do. And I know each year, and I don't know if I should I'll let Chris, I'll stop.
Yeah, that's a great question. Our team has already started getting ready for more communication earlier this year, because as soon as things dry out, that's typically when we start to see more brush fires. And I think that, it's easy for people to become complacent, especially when it comes to mundane things like, just firing up your barbecue too close to your home or things like that. So we'll be educating about those common causes of those outdoor fires that we see that are preventable. And by the way, the barbecue is one of them. Another one that we see a lot is the propane torches that people use to kill their weeds around their house. And that tends to light those arborvitae trees that so many people have on fire. So we'll be putting out a lot of education around the causes of that. We'll also be doing a large campaign around fireworks safety, which can also be a common cause of brush fires this time of year.
Yeah, the mega fires are becoming more common, and the wildfire season is getting much wider as well.
Do we have data that indicates, basically, top threat, second, third, on what's causing the fires? I know you said that it's human. I was just wondering if we had any data that actually is indicating this is the primary, this is, that can basically put risk and where.
Yeah, most of them are still investigated by the county fire marshal's office, but we do produce a report after the 4th of July, and that gives us kind of our sample of statistics. Yeah, I can just say off the top of my head, most of them last year, even way outside the 4th of July, were fireworks related in the green belts that weren't even close to the 4th of July holiday.
Would prevention be able to give me that data?
Yeah, we could pull the reports from last year that we.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other commissioner comments? Chief, you had the slide up that showed basically the red for our
Yes.
state and so forth, which is really interesting because this is something I track all the time for my reporting purposes. And just a little bit more than a month and a half ago, or maybe 2 months, they had released the prediction for the summer, and we were absolutely in the clear on the western side.
Oh.
And so this demonstrates how in a very short period of time where we did not get the seasonal trend, which we normally would forecast for, instead we're hotter, we're drier, and now we're protracted out into August of having a very active potential for wildland fire growth, rapid growth. So I think that's important to remember. Also, when we look at our wildland rig, why does that make sense? It makes sense because it carries lightweight tactical equipment that can get into those ravines that our big rigs cannot. So it's about lightweight gear, completely different methodology of attack from our structural gear, our big heavy rigs, 500 gallons of water. We have to scale that down into something that's more suitable. In response to Commissioner Wonkelman's question, I think maybe what's been top of mind for a lot of communities is your community wildland fire prevention or preparedness program, where we do mitigation around homes. We start to remove those fuels away from structures. We start to cap those eaves for embers that would normally get up into an attic space. And those programs are right now, at least down in King County, are being developed even stronger than they were. There's a large working group for that effort. And as that information becomes available because we all share basically the same backyards. I'm sure that's something that we could discuss rolling out in part of the PIO's lane. It's not complete yet. They're still working on it, but any other comments or questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right, this turns us to item number 8. For union report, I see Connor Holtum is online. Good evening, Connor.
Good evening, commissioners, staff, and guests. Just wanted to say thank you to the board for your recent approval of 20 new hires to help us get closer to where we need to be in terms of staffing. Other than that, that's all I got tonight. So thank you all for the work that you do.
Thank you very much for the union report. We appreciate you and all the hard work everyone out there does. Thank you. All right, if that, any questions for our union representative, commissioners? No questions? All right, thank you very much. That brings us up to item number 9. This is our public hearing for fire and EMS construction bond measure. We're going to start first with item 9A, and that's our capital facilities plan overview with bond documents for discussion, communications with Director Christy Bailey.
Thank you, Commissioner. So I'm here to give a brief overview of the bond measure that's been discussed by the board and that is being considered, and the reason that we're having a public hearing tonight. So I'm going to briefly share my screen here. So in your packet, there are a few documents that are related to this bond, and these are documents that the board has been discussing over a number of weeks. There's a bond resolution. There is an explanatory statement that would accompany any ballot measure, potentially for the November general election. And there is a pro-con committee resolution that would require approval by the board as well. So to give an overview of what got us here, the capital facilities plan that is informing all of this work was created back in 2016, so 10 years ago. And this was put together by an independent consultant that determined that 2/3 of our 15 fire stations, 10 in total, would require replacement or significant repairs. 6 of those stations were deemed to be in poor or critical condition. At 7 of those 10 stations, the report found that a major earthquake could compromise firefighters' ability to operate safely and effectively out of those stations. And we've also identified the need for 4 additional stations to address gaps that have been created by tremendous growth in our area over the last decade. So these improvements that would be part of this plan would affect virtually every community that we serve. And here's a list of the stations that are included as of right now in this bond measure that's being considered. The 6 replacement stations would include Silver First Fire Station, that's in unincorporated Everett, Blue Ridge Station 14 in Linwood, Esperance Station 20 in unincorporated Edmonds, Hilltop Station 22 in unincorporated Linwood, Lake Serene Station 23 in unincorporated Linwood, and Mill Creek Station 76. The station slated for renovations would be Mariner Station 11, that's in unincorporated Everett, Linwood Civic Center Station 15, Downtown Edmonds Station 17, and Mount Lake Terrace Station 19. And then the 4 additional stations to fill service needs would be located in the areas of Alderwood Mall Parkway, Cascadian Way, Heights, and Manor. Heights is in Edmonds along Highway 99, and then Manor in Linwood. And then there would be additional critical facility needs that are essential to daily operations and emergency readiness. So in total, the needs that have been identified here, if we put them all together, they're estimated to cost approximately $420 million. And we're continuing to evaluate what that would mean for individual homeowners. And so, you know, this is a plan that has been worked on for many years. And now it is being discussed by the board to possibly bring to the November general election.
Thank you. Any questions from our commissioners on that? Ms. Feely, does this also include the overview of the potential bond, the draft bond election resolution? How many items on our agenda have you gone through so far? Is that it?
Yes, the documents are included in the agenda, and I see a couple of extra packets over there if anybody wants to take a look at those on paper. But those include, again, the ballot resolution, the explanatory statement, and the pro-con resolution.
Outstanding. Commissioner Wonkum.
Thank you for that presentation. I definitely don't take this ask lightly. Coming to the community with this has been very challenging for me. At the same time, understanding what the growth in the ecosystem and how we have basically outgrown the current capacity that we have. I was wondering if you could kind of discuss the gaps further and the challenges that we're facing with BLS and ALS response due to the increased traffic and the expansion within population.
If we can just expand on that basic life support and advanced life support for some of the acronyms.
Yeah, if I could, Commissioner Winkelman, I could answer that. Yeah, with the increased population, we're also seeing an increase in the elderly population, which creates some of the biggest demands. We see the behavioral health and mental health crisis, the underinsured and uninsured, the homelessness, all those things contribute to the demand. And then as we have higher population, we have congestion. And so it's just harder for us to get to calls. And so all those, and as we grow, we're also going vertical. So now that creates response times issues and different complexities there. Very preliminarily, Chief Hughes was actually just looking at some of our data, and all of our BLS basic life support units are at the top of their unit hour utilization, which is a measure of how busy they are. I think every single one of them, Chief Hughes, was at or above maximum utilization, and the medic units are right behind it. Does that answer your question sufficiently?
It does. And thank you for that. And looking at this as a capital facilities challenge, or conversation, excuse me. The question I have is, how does the capital facilities impact the capabilities of us responding? Especially with the critical and poor buildings that we have identified. And does that?
Yeah,
Well, I think one of the biggest things that is being trying to be accomplished with this capital facilities plan is to ensure that we can provide the same service that we're providing today. We're trying to provide very high quality service to our community, that we can provide it 15, 20 years into the future. Because we know this plan has been around since 2016. The plans were, delayed for the COVID pandemic. And we knew about some repairs even prior to 2016 that were delayed because of impacts from the 2008 recession. So we've known about these issues for a while. We've known we need to keep up with the growth in our area and the growth in our response. We know the areas specifically where we need to grow, but various things have stopped us from asking for this. And then the other impact is the fact that, 7 fire stations were found to be possibly non-operational or have operations severely affected if a major earthquake were to hit.
Okay. And so basically what I'm gathering from this and what you're saying is that we're currently at max capacity, and with the growth that we're expecting in the near, not too distant future, we won't be able to provide the high quality, high performance care that we have been priding ourselves on without the upgrades in the facilities, especially if there is an earthquake, which is predicted by USGS to have a 10 to 15% likelihood by, I think it was 2050, occurring in this region, which will have a significant impact, correct? Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Chan.
Well, since I was here 20 years ago, so I'm the oldest one person in this room in here. So actually, when I first started, a commissioner, they were already talking about this already. Is an issue. I can give you 13 is right in the Silver Fir area, right next to YMCA. There's a problem, the trees and all that stuff. And then also, we also to each of the station, what we call turnout time. That means once you hit it along, how do you get out from your living quarter to out in to the bay, right? Many of the room, because the design at that time were far away from there, and so therefore it take a much longer turnout time. So by redoing this, you will get a much turnout time, which is critical, like 1.8. Actually, we do have people who have a stopwatch to do that because turnout time we can control. Travel on the road may be difficult because of traffic. 14, it is, they put it together, is Linwood. It just is not up to standard. They themselves know about it. We talked to Linwood, and that need to be done. 20, Aspirin, that is up in the Edmonds area. That place is terrible, right? I mean, not terrible, but really need to basically pull it down and rebuild it, and for the benefit of the Edmond people. I think at one time we do have a ladder truck there, or no, you still there? Okay, which is critical. Ladder truck, that's why you go in different area. 23, Lake Serene is donated. The land was donated by the neighborhood, Lake Serene. And I went over there on the 25 shift in there. They were basically the crack in the room, the cold air can go into the bedroom. So this is how terrible it is. And then also Mill Creek 76, which is built a long time ago. It was fit for 3 people. Now we got 15 people. So that is definitely an area that we do. So all these are very well known, but we just how to, get together, get the plan going and stuff. So it's not just yesterday problem.
Thank you, Commissioner Chan. Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes, the industry is experiencing labor shortages. We have to compete for firefighters and so we are known as we're a good organization. We do the best work, especially with the community paramedics, all the different things we do, advanced life-saving, incomparable, the highest levels of survival. And people still are attracted. This is a place they want to be, but we got to keep that up. If we have rundown living quarters, that doesn't help in our recruitment and retention. So having a good besides a good organization, to have good facilities and just for to attract people and also to operate out of more efficiently. So, thank you.
Any other commissioner comments before I turn it over to the public hearing? Not seeing any, none online. I'd like to open it now for our public hearing on the bond measure. Do we have the first person to speak? Thank you for your patience. Appreciate it. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Sherwood Sage, and I'm from Edmonds.
Thank you for being
Okay.
here.
I want to start out by saying that I am angry. I'm very angry, and I guess I want to warn you that I will try to conduct myself appropriately, having said that. Statistically, for every person that says something, there are 50 that will say nothing, and that's human nature. So in one sense, I represent 50 people from the city of Edmonds, not the other areas, but the city of Edmonds. Okay. We're talking here of $500 million, not $500,000, $500 million. 420 million rounded off, is $500 million. Edmonds, the city of Edmonds is complaining they don't have enough funds and they've cut our services. The library has complained, and I think we voted them funds. Edmonds School District, we've added to their funds, so our taxes are higher. We just found out in the paper recently, it just came out this week, that the stormwater and the sewer district wants to come up with $1 billion of replacements in part of Edmonds, not all of Edmonds, part of Edmonds. 939,000, I think, that's $1 billion to me. So when you put that all together, the total of all of you are asking $1.5 billion plus for us as private citizens. Okay, I have a problem with that, a major problem with it. My taxes are going up 22% this year. When I did the calculations, I found that exactly half of that goes to you. 11% goes to you. You've just raised our taxes. And that brings up another point, and I can't prove this, and hopefully it is not true, but it brings up the question of, you say trust there, of what you were thinking, and it appears that it's poor timing. Okay, we just voted to annex to you in the city of Edmonds. If we had known this was going to happen, I know we would have said, no, there's no way we're going to do that. So the timing is suspect, and I'm hoping that that was not deliberate on your part. I'd be disappointed if it was. Some of us in Edmonds would like to remodel our homes. I would like to remodel my home. I would like to have seismic preparation. I don't need to build a new home. We don't have the privilege or the honor of coming to you to ask you for $50,000 or $100,000 or $200,000 of funds. But for some reason, you think you have the right to come to us and ask for an enormous amount of money. Okay, you asked or mentioned the idea that the population is growing, therefore we need more services. That's true. Okay, but that also means that there are more homes that are paying into the funds. And there should be economy of scale so that the larger an entity grows, the more efficient it becomes. And it doesn't appear that is happening. When I raised a young family, my wife and I worked a full-time job, I worked a part-time job, and my wife worked full-time to support our family. We sacrificed. I don't feel that you've done any creative thinking or thinking outside the box. It seems to me you went to the easy answer and said, we'll just go to the public and here's what we want. This is what we need. We want you to give us that money. You haven't done any creative or outside of the box thinking, and it's out there. You just have to do it. Okay, you said in 2016 is when this plan came up and it was delayed because of COVID and so forth. Okay, but the fact is you brought it up right now. Again, it's suspect in my mind. We're tired of every entity in government asking us for more funds. Period. That's the way it is. We're tired of it. We voted Edmonds down. I forget what the issue was exactly. We voted it down because we were tired of it. And Edmonds keeps asking for more money. Maybe there needs to be more creative thinking on your part. I have a couple of suggestions. I'm not sure that you would like them, but I have a couple of suggestions that could be made. But I would hope that you would have thought this through. If you've had 10 plus years to do it, that you would have come up with something other than just coming to us, the public, and asking us for money. I don't know what else to say. I'm angry. I'm very angry. And I know a lot of other people in Edmonds have to be angry too. What gives you the courage or the guts to come up to us and say, we want $500 million and we want you to support us for this period of time? Okay, some of the stations, I wish I had thought about it first. I would have gone to some of the stations to see, in my estimation, as an average human being, a citizen, if that's really needed. Okay, and it might be, possibly. I don't know. But I think that some things can be done that are not being done and that you could do that have not been done because of lack of creative thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else for public hearing on the bond measure comments?
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Roger Pence, and I'm a citizen of Edmonds. and have a few comments and a suggestion or two on the way forward here. Um, the major part of the problem is for the citizens of Edmonds is this is all new to us, this capital program. We were not part of the district back in 2016 or whenever it was first created. We did get regular briefings on fire district operations when we were under contract. But when the contract ended, the briefings ended. So we've been, the city, the people that pay attention to City Hall in the city of Edmonds and try to follow public issues, including issues like fire service. This is all new. We learned, or we heard back in December, I think it was, that this capital program was going to go to the ballot in the fall. But then after that, it was radio silence up until last month when we learned about this hearing and your proposed decision date in another couple of weeks. It would have been nice to have had some community engagement during that period where we could learn about the issues with the fire stations and why they needed to be rebuilt and new ones built. There is just no general public awareness of any of that right now because this agency did not do the community engagement work that would provide that information. The previous taxpayer and others I know who share that opinion are concerned about the size of the hit. This is big money, $420 million. Why couldn't some of that be paid out of capital reserves? When Edmonds joined the district, we expanded your tax base by what, 30%? You're a lot richer district now than you were before. Responsible capital planning does involve at least some of those needs being accommodated out of reserve funds. And the other concern about that deals with the size of the bond issue is the number of stations that are included in it. It's kind of like if the Edmonds School District had come to the voters of the Edmonds District, which is about the same size as the fire district, incidentally, if they'd come to the voters and say, we want to rebuild all our schools. We need new schools and we need rebuilt schools and we want to put the whole package to the voters. We would probably say no, better to take the most important ones and run those first as a separate and smaller bond issue, one the voters can get their arms around and that don't hammer their tax bills too heavily. And when we look at the 14 stations on your list now, we don't know which ones are most important and which ones are least important. There's got to be some priorities in there that we don't know about. I would suggest that you ask staff to come back with some alternate proposals before you vote. Smaller ones that are based on picking the most important projects out of that vast array that is on your table at the moment. Pick the most important ones. Allow the voters to vote on a smaller and more defensible and more reasonable tax package. That would be my suggestion going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pence. Appreciate that. Anybody else for comment on the bond measure? Anyone else in the room? We'll turn to Zoom. Do we have anybody on Zoom?
We do not.
All right. Appreciate the comments. Commissioners, do you have any comments before we move on? Commissioner Wonkelman.
I just wanted to say thank you for the public comments. I appreciate them. I am listening to them and I will definitely take them into consideration.
Christie, I think we're emphasizing that all this will be for the next 20 years. So we're going to, right? All this station, we figure out all this done. We will be, the next 20 years, we won't ask for anything at all. I mean, unless there's something in there.
The current proposal being discussed by the board has the intention explicitly of meeting the needs of the community over the next 15 to 20 years.
Right. So it's not like school district come to you every 3 or 4 years, a new bond, another new bonds, another new bonds, right? Yeah. I mean, that's
Under the current proposal, this
Yeah.
would fund us for
for the next 20 years. Okay. And then also, I think, want to emphasizing that we already have some money, you bought some of the land already, right? I know that we have
We-
bought some land already.
We do
Right.
have some of the land purchased already for 2 of the 4 infill stations, yes.
Yes, because the difficulty of this is that we have to forecast seeing what's going on in there. So also that I want to emphasizing that the 450 million is for all the cities, all other cities and everyone too, and the incorporated area. Right.
Yes, the $420 million encompasses every single aspect of the capital facilities plan. It would be, 6 replacement stations, 4 seismic upgrades and renovation at stations, and then 4 brand new stations.
Yeah, so it's not just, is the Edmonds themselves bear all this. But I can see that you have Edmonds have 3 station, 20, also 17. And then we will have probably the one right close to the heights is where the Swiss Hospital, yeah.
Right now,
Right.
the area being considered is along Highway 99 by Swedish Hospital, yes.
Right. So, okay, that's, I feel that's very good.
Commissioner Rowland.
Just emphasize on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Chan. Commissioner Rowland, please.
Well, the decision that we're making when it comes to going to the voters is whether to tell them everything, put everything on the table, let them make the decision whether to go forward or not. And then based off of their decision, we either execute or we revise the plan or come back with something that, is more agreeable. At the end of the day, we're not making the decision to spend any money right now. We're making the decision to put forward a plan to the voters, showing them a need, showing them the money that it's going to take to meet that need. And it's up to them how they want to invest their tax funds into their community. I understand the challenges that some of our cities are in and some of our other districts. There's a lot of these decisions that the current city councils or the current board of commissioners weren't part of making, that in some of these areas are coming due at the same time or at an inconvenient time and causing budgetary crises. And there's cycles for all of this. Buildings only last so long. At the end of the day, we're trying to provide good service. We're trying to do so as economically as possible, and our tax records have shown that we've tried to not take our 1% when we could otherwise do without it. And we've had bank capacity that has come in handy to keep us from having to raise rates. We've been as careful as we were, able. So I guess what we're being asked tonight, I guess, in some of the public comments, is that we shouldn't go to the voters asking for everything that we need, and we shouldn't let them make a decision whether everything we need is something they want to pay for. And I don't think that would be responsible. I think the voters have the ability to say no. Those that oppose it have the ability to, lobby against it and to convince their neighbors that a smaller plan would be better and still serve our needs. At the end of the day, a 15 or 10% chance of an earthquake coming along, you know, if one of our stations collapses that needs this retrofitting and we haven't done it, they'll be asking us, why didn't you tell us that you needed this retrofitting? Because now all the people it serve are in a much worse state than they would have been if that station had been taken care of. So I think the only responsible thing to do is to be honest with voters as we go through and we spend the funds that come from any bond measure, whether it's this one or a different one, to do so responsibly, to make sure that we're using the money efficiently and not wasting anything. We always are trying to think outside the box. We're always open to anybody coming up with ideas. Just all I ask is bring them forward and realize that there's a lot of elements to all of this that take a while for us to learn when we become commissioners. And we try our best to educate our community when decisions like this come up. And we trust that they are going to look at everything objectively and make the best decision. And whatever their decision is, we will move forward to honor that decision. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rowland. Any other commissioner comments? Okay, none. We've heard a lot of discussion this evening, all really, really good discussion, I believe. And I will say this, we know that this is something that was birthed 10 years ago in a much different political climate. Even a year ago, when we started down this path of discussion within this forum, we did not have the geopolitical strain that we do currently. So many things have changed. And your public comment is instrumental. I heard you say poor timing, excessive taxes. This plan dates back to 2016. These are not falling on deaf ears. This gives us an opportunity to go back and have a dialogue as a group to figure out what is the best course of action. We also know that next year there will be an EMS levy that's due as well. So reduction, right, potentially in this particular plan or in this particular setting to understand and appreciate and forecast for that renewal cycle, which is already an automatic. It's not that we had a choice. It comes up every so many years, will not impact the citizens negatively. So I would ask that you give us the opportunity to go back and discuss, continue your input, as Commissioner Rowland said, and we will seek some positive solution for both sides. If that concludes that particular portion of our meeting, let's move to item number 10, unfinished business. So it'll be 10A, organizational roadmap, EMS and CRP division presentation by Chief Sean Maxwell. Good evening, Chief.
Thank you, Chair. I'll pull up my presentation here. Okay, as part of our organizational roadmap, I've been bringing to the board, highlighting our different divisions, and the format is what are our challenges or threats, what are the solutions, and then how will that make the future outcome better? So it's kind of a three-part program. So we'll talk about the challenges or the threats first. I think everyone knows, you know, we every single day, 24 hours a day, we are called to help our community over 100 times a day now. That's a big operation, being in that top 1% of fire departments in the nation. We know that our call volume has gone up 30% in the last 10 years. And basic life support that we just talked about represents over 50% of those calls. And why is that? We talked about, we have, I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit because of EMS week, but that's okay. You know, we have an aging population, mental health, social, and primary care. Those are the things you go to your doctor for. Most people go to their doctor for. We are the access to care for most of that. A lot of people say we don't have health care for all, but the 911 system actually represents that because we turn nobody away. We help everybody, regardless of their ability to pay. We all know the fentanyl epidemic and the substance abuse challenges with our society. and then the uninsured. And what we don't talk about a lot is the underinsured and the homeless. Those all contribute to the call volumes we're talking about. To layer in on that, the complexity of care that is expected by the public and delivered is much higher than it used to be. I went to school over 30 years ago, and I cannot believe the higher level of education, sophistication, and number of drugs and technology these new paramedic students have to learn. It is a different world. And with that, the state has added requirements. There are way more, we get more educational requirements, more hours every single year, which that has a compounding effect on needing more instructors and more hours to train them. And the public expectation, like I said, the public expects us all to deliver a very high level of care. And the liability has gone up well, which is kind of coupled with that expectation. Recruitment and shortages. We talk about recruitment. We talk about the challenges of recruitment just to get people in, but the system is so busy and burdened. Not as many people want to go to paramedic school, so there's an internal recruitment issue as well that we have to consider. Not as many people want to instruct anymore because there's so much work and overtime on the streets. They don't want to get off after having a mandatory overtime shift and then go teach for 8 hours. So these are all compounding issues that lay below the surface of when the big red truck or the big red box come to your house on keeping that care delivery high. People are struggling to get access to primary care. And then Commissioner Chan, as you mentioned, hospital wait times, they're a challenge. And that's not just here. That's just not West Coast, East Coast. That's Canada. That's UK. That is not germane just to our area. So what are some opportunities? Well, some of the opportunities we've talked about and which myself and the team would like to move forward with in the near future are, maybe bringing in our own EMT course. Well, and that would bring down the barrier to maybe people in our community that want to work here and join the fire service. Single role EMT programs, having a layer below the firefighter where people can come become an EMT and help with that burden that, like I showed you, that BLS call burden. It also steps people in to that recruitment, so they don't have to do all the EMT and all the fire training all at once. They can get their EMT training, see if this is the job for them, and there's a better recruitment opportunity and longevity chance there. Advanced EMT programs. The laws in this state have changed where the EMTs can do a much higher level of care closer to a paramedic. That can be a recruitment tool, so you don't have to jump headfirst into a paramedic program. You can go halfway there. And so maybe more people will want to become paramedics. We're lowering that barrier there, but we're also potentially helping with the paramedic shortage. Expanding our community paramedic program, expanding our community health workers. I think we have shown, we're a national leader. We have improved care and dramatically reduced healthcare costs, unequivocally reducing call volume and the burden on our hospitals. We're looking at some, probably our next evolution are some extremely innovative things we're looking at on how do we bring some of that primary care to the calls. Those are those really low level cares. Those aren't even really basic life support. They're the ones where you'd go see your doctor, but if people have dental issues or allergy issues, they call us. And we're probably at the workshop, we're going to bring you an innovative thing that Chief Hughes and Chief Sharp were looking at that it could be as revolutionary as our community medic program. So we are really looking at how to raise the level of care and really lower cost and fix some of these things. So finally, what does that mean? When we do these things, we can hopefully create some financial stabilization, if not savings. we can maintain our ability to respond to fires and these EMS calls, including the paramedic calls, meet our high and rising social and primary call demand, and maybe lower the barrier to hiring and increase some recruitment paths. So some of the solutions could be having a full-time instructor position to teach these EMT courses to deal with the instructor staffing shortages. Creating maybe we host it here, an advanced EMT course to help that pathway to paramedic and help with our paramedic shortages. Expanding our community health workers. Maybe we have volunteer community health workers. That's where the needs are. Matching our volunteers with the high demand of need. And then like I told you, probably we will be bringing you some really innovative ideas to take some of this to the next level. So those are some of the things that we'll be revisiting at our spring workshop on how we can take ourselves to the next level, but really sustain things and ideally lower costs. And with that, I conclude the report. We'd be happy to take any questions. And fortunately, we have Assistant Chief Hughes.
Commissioner Lawrence.
Here too.
Yes, Chief, could you go back to the previous screen, please?
This one or the next?
Yes, that's good, right there. How many of these things did you and your brain trust come up with, or this is something that's done somewhere else and there's a track record? Because they sound great to me.
I think I can't claim any originality. These things just kind of all come together. I don't know which ones are original and which ones aren't.
Original to us, I mean, you and your guy and your crew, or is it things being done that you just saw?
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking about having an EMT course here for a while, and I think the EMT course is out of a need. It'll make it easier for people to get a job here. And you talked about the shortages, and I think, Chief Hughes and his team they're talking about, we need a lot of instructors. We have almost 400 EMS providers. That's a lot of instructors. And like a paramedic requires 50 hours a year of training, and they struggle with instructors. So we brainstorm. That's done all in overtime. And maybe we just need a full-time instructor rather than doing that on overtime. The advanced EMT program, I watched the EMS laws in this state, and there I saw an opportunity to maybe help with our paramedic shortages. The expanded community medic program, Chief Hughes, Chief Sharp, everybody's always brainstorming. The opportunities are abundant there. And then another idea on helping with this primary care access. We took that and brainstormed, and it's a little bit of all of us, and they just kind of all come together. I don't know if you have a comment, Chief Hughes.
Yeah, I can add to that. Commissioner Lawrence, that's a great question. Thanks. I would say the originality of these ideas, they didn't inherently come from us, but I think where we add to the mixture is the sophistication of where we take it to the next level. So like Chief Maxwell, he brought the community resource paramedic program to basically the Pacific Northwest here about 12, 14 years ago. That idea, that was started somewhere else, maybe in Australia or Canada, where the originality of it came from. But where we took it was to that next level. And now we're experiencing wild success with that program. So our team is full of really creative thinkers, and we can add sophistication to it and complexity to it that really enhances the service that we deliver to the community.
Thank you.
Commissioner Walkman, then Commissioner Chin.
Yeah. As everyone probably knows, and those who don't know, I've spent the last 2 years really researching the challenges with those that are unsheltered and struggling with addiction. And in that research, the innovation and the impact that the CRP program has had, the Community Resource Paramedic Program, and the CHWs have had is extraordinary. In that research, just last year, I know it was over 440 calls that were reduced just in the city of Edmonds alone, with a cost factor in the millions. As a total program, I believe it is estimated that it has saved our community over $13.3 million annually. And so when we're talking about the creative, innovative thinking, that's something that I really appreciate about this leadership staff, is that you're always looking for new ways to take and help the individuals that are high utilizers, those that have become reliant on 911, because the reality is we don't turn away calls. We respond regardless. And that innovative care, compassionate thinking that you have brought to the team has had significant impact. The other thing that it's doing is that those who are struggling with addiction, I am seeing a higher success rate of people becoming sober because of the intentional care and the continuous and being a consistent force in their lives for taking the next steps, helping them overcome the challenges and the gaps within the ecosystem. And in that, it's been extraordinary to see when comparing to other organizations and what they're doing to what you're doing. And I just always am so grateful and so appreciative of the impact the CRP program is having on our ecosystem that isn't acknowledged by a lot of people. And I am hoping that communities across this county and this state can start to really look at what's happening here, because this is where change is happening. And I can personally state it because I have walked for 2 years on the streets with these individuals, and I am seeing the change happen when they get into the CRP program. When I have people who are trafficked that I'm getting calls saying, how can you help? Who do I call? The CRP program. When I'm having people who are struggling with addiction, who finally are done with this and trying to get help and want consistent, long-lasting help, who do they call? The CRP program. And the best part about the CRP program is that the connections that you've made with partnering resources, it's not the CRP program's doing everything, but the best part is that your partnership with the resources within this ecosystem are having dramatic effect. It's the only organization that I'm seeing that is unifying the entire ecosystem. So when we look at cost savings, unfortunately, we can't measure, how much was saved on a call that was never made, because that is the biggest challenge in this. But I will state, if the CRP program alone wasn't in this, we'd be paying tens, if not extraordinary more, millions of dollars per year. That burden would go straight to the taxpayers. And that is an area that I am so grateful to be a part of an organization that thinks cutting edge like that. Thank you.
Commissioner Chan.
Well, I want to claim the credit, but it's Commissioner Mehta, who used to be the fire chief of Linwood, suggesting that is basically instead of the backfill station, and I see you single row EMT program. So those are just medical only. So that's, we don't have to build a station because build a station is expensive and everything else. And then population center may change, right? So we have more backfill, just leasing a strip mall. There's a lot of bang now. They have drive-through, but they don't use it anymore. Wells Fargo 164 now turned into be they mow it down to a retail store. So we can use that, and then the 3 years lease or 5 year lease, if the change, we just move on to another one without building it. Because I think we're big enough now that we can have enough, just medical versus within fire. So that's one thing. And now remember when I first came, I said, motorcycle paramedics in the British system. When I was in Australia, I saw them in action. They're the one who, boom, go right there to the incident and then assess the severity of the accident, right? If just a Band-Aid, he just, hey, all you guys can turn around, I can, fix it here. But suddenly they got a 10-car accidents or whatever. They said, we need more. So I have to say that the British are very, a lot of time I've heard some of Canada or British system. Sometimes we need to learn from other country. And I think that might be because 85% of our surface medic, right? I think more importantly, to get why we need more because of congestions of the traffic, right? But also too, now we're building. Before, when I first started, there's no building taller than three or 4 floors. Now we got all this in downtown area. So you add another 10 minutes to go on the lift, go on the elevator to go up there. So I think we need to really, be expanding that idea. And I agree with you. We're the most innovative kind of different system. So I appreciate this and change it.
Thank you, Commissioner Chan. Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes, Commissioner Chan, we're going to skip right past the motorcycle. We're going to write the drone EMTs, paramedics, delivery, like a 3 or 4, right to the air, right to the place. And then forget about those high, we'll go through the roof. No elevators.
I've not had an
we're-
opportunity to use my gavel yet, but I'm getting close. Thank you very much, Chief, for the report. I think that your line of thinking, as long as you can sort of get it to where it needs to be, of having single role EMT program is very reminiscent of what I came up with working with LA City Fire. They actually had basic ambulances and they had paramedic ambulances, but guess what? They weren't firefighters, right? And so that reduced some of the complexity of the hiring and allowed them to have a more streamlined approach. Now, today, it's all wound into one kind of big thing. But wall times being what they are, you can certainly have somebody relieving a crew to go when that fire does occur in one of our cities. We get maximum force on scene. While we do have, I know you use the word lesser, but I don't like to think of it that way. I think it's just a first tier of support, first tier of medical, and that's your EMT or maybe even the advanced EMT, and then we move into the firefighter combination type thing. So I really, really like this vision. I think this has a lot of opportunity to serve the citizens well. Some of the, comments we get is, why do you always send the fire engine? Well, maybe this is an opportunity to just send the aid unit, depending on the triage of the call. And certainly that begins with Snow 911, getting the accurate information to make sure we send the right resource. No, I love the creative thinking. If there's no other discussion on this topic, thank you, Chief. That moves us to item number 11. 11A, EMS Week Resolution for Action, Communications Director Christy Bailey. And just to read into the record here, that'll be EMS Week 2026, Resolution 05052026-09.
Thank you, Commissioner. I wanted to share a few highlights with you all tonight as the reason why we do recognize EMS Week and why that is so important. So bear with me. I'm just going to share my screen here. So Emergency Medical Services Week is coming up starting May 17th. One key component of the emergency medical services that we provide has been the success of the high performance CPR that our firefighters train so often for. Our cardiac arrest survival rate is again above the state and national average, as it has been for several years. I actually just got an updated email that our data came in and confirmed that. So we're very proud to hold that standard and to make this South County Fire Service area a safer place to have a cardiac arrest than many areas of the state and many areas of the country. South County firefighters respond to a cardiac arrest about once every 36 hours. And that's why we put so much work and training into being very, very good at CPR. It's why we send a minimum of 9 to 12 firefighters to every CPR call with a very specific role in saving lives. But we save more lives with the help of community members. And so I'd like to share a couple of those stories that we saw last year in Edmonds and in Mill Creek. At Edmonds Harbor Square, late last year, a pickleball player collapsed and stopped breathing. Bystanders called 911, grabbed an AED. An off-duty Bellingham firefighter and a cardiologist that were there performed CPR and used the AED to restart the patient's heart before crews arrived. At the Mill Creek YMCA, also a pickleball player, over the summer, he went into cardiac arrest while he was playing, and his partner actually started chest compressions while someone else called 911. All the staff there at the Mill Creek YMCA jumped in. They grabbed AEDs. They shocked the patient's heart. Firefighters arrived to find him alive, conscious, and breathing. And he was later released from the hospital. So those are wonderful stories to tell. We did present Community Lifesaver Awards to the people that participated in those incidents. And just in case anyone didn't know, we do teach free 1-hour ACT classes that will teach you hands-only CPR, how to administer an antidote for overdose, how to use an AED, and how to use a tourniquet for bleeding control. It's an hour. It's free. You can do it online or in person, and you can sign up on our website, South County Fire.
And ACT meaning antidote, CPR, and tourniquet.
Exactly. Yes. So another real highlight of our emergency medical services is our community resource paramedic program, which we've been talking about a little bit tonight. We know that in this program, 911 calls by patients, clients that we interact with decreased by 50%. So that's a big success. We connect clients with the right resources so we can reduce unnecessary emergency room visits and get them the help that they actually need. We're expecting to visit with 3,000 clients in 2026. Part of our CRP program is our core program, and that administers medication to people who are experiencing an overdose and guides them to resources to seek treatment. And we know that over 75% of the patients that we get in contact with actually do seek treatment. So another huge success story. It's been so successful that South County Fire is becoming a model for this program throughout the country. I know our battalion chief of the CRP program, Keith Sharp, told me he either recently or was going to Kansas City to tell them about the program, and have presented in other areas across the country. They're very interested to know that what we're doing to solve problems that everybody is experiencing. Medical calls overall account for more than 80% of our emergency call volume. That's over 32,800 calls in 2025. Every single South County firefighter is trained as either an emergency medical technician or as a paramedic, whether they're on a fire truck or an ambulance. They can answer emergency medical calls. They carry the tools that they need to respond to those calls on every single apparatus. And the closest unit to you is going to respond to those calls so we can get you help the fastest. So we're all going to be celebrating EMS Week on Saturday, May 16th. We'd love for all of you commissioners to join us and everyone in the public who's listening to join us as well. It's going to be at Edmonds Downtown Station 17, and it's from 11 to 1. You can learn hands-only CPR at this event. Kids can bring a teddy bear or take one home and learn some first aid techniques. And then we'll also be having some bike helmets to give away thanks to a generous grant from our community partners. So we're very much looking forward to seeing everyone at that. In the meantime, before the board is a resolution proclaiming May 17th as Emergency Medical Services Week. And so we do ask that you adopt the resolution as presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Communications Director Christy Bailey. Commissioners, is there any comments?
I'll keep this one brief, but I just want to say EMS is the unsung heroes of our community. They are responding to a lot of things that the public doesn't fully comprehend. And the only reason that I have any idea of it is because of the traumas that I saw in combat overseas, and the impact that it has on them, their willingness and their commitment to the mission, their desire to make the community a better place is just incredible. Their sacrifice for us is something that oftentimes isn't seen by the full public until they're needed, and yet they're always there. I just want to say that the EMS, our community of EMS is truly a lot of my heroes, because they're the reason why we have the safe community we have today. And it's why we live in one of the best parts of the nation. And yes, I am biased.
I would like to make a motion then to move that we approve the 2026 EMS Week Resolution 05052026-09. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Wonkelman. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Discussion, I think it's a critical part of our program, and I totally, support this.
Thank you, Commissioner Chan. Any other comments? Seeing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, that moves us to item number 12 for committee updates, capital facilities. Joseph Walker.
Yep, we had a meeting last Monday. This has been a challenging conversation. We're trying to really hear the community. We are trying to understand other ways that we can approach and the best way to approach this conversation. My hat's off to our communications director for the conversations that we're having, how to reach the community. And, this is going to continue to be a hard conversation because we want to do what's best for everybody involved, both our community, but also those who are sacrificing everything for our community.
Thank you. Item number 2 there, Finance and Human Resources with Commissioner Chan.
I would like the CFO to tell us the
CFO. Mr. Bothwell. CFO Bothwell.
Thank you. So Thursday we have a meeting. We're going to discuss the chief's organizational changes, org chart changes, and that's this Thursday at 1.
and then the bond.
In 2 weeks after that, we'll talk about the bond with our legal counsel and our municipal advisor.
Thank you. That item number 3, intergovernmental with Commissioner Wittes.
Thank you. We're having a meeting tomorrow. The only thing we have on the agenda is just discussing the outreach for the bond if we choose to go that direction.
Outstanding. Thank you. That leads us to number 4, Snow 911. We did have, I think it was 4-hour retreat. Chief Sherman actually attended with me and supported us. We went through a lot of detail about some of the budget and action items that were laid out for the board moving forward, namely was new elections. We had to re-elect our board chair, vice chair, treasury, and so forth. So far right now, we're still maintaining myself as the primary, Chief Maxwell as our alternate, and Chief Sherman is welcome anytime, according to Terry Peterson. So no significant actions unless, Chief Sherman, you remember something I don't.
I think you covered it just fine, sir.
Copy that. Thank you. All right, that leads us to item number 13, Commissioner comments. Do we have any Commissioner comments? Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for the speaker coming here to speak about our object. Unfortunately, the commissioner are not exempting from paying the property tax. So I feel your pain, and or especially me, my household is only me, so I repay for the whole property tax. And also, I'm not proud. My children did not go to public school. They went to private school, but I'm still supporting the education and the school board, the commission, and then the library's into it, and everybody is into it. That really is a really challenge. I totally understand that. And I think if we can explaining what we need to do, the input is really good. I mean, basically, how can we really tie up the budgets and make our resources more, able to change? I mean, all the suggestions about motorcycle paramedic, all the other thing. Let's continue our creativity and see what we can do.
Oh, Commissioner Wonkelman.
I just want to say on continuing the creativity, I'm hoping that us as an organization can come together and really think in innovative and creative terms and not always be just defined in the ways that were thought, because it's time for innovative thought process. And I'm looking forward to continuing that conversation in all of the topics and all of the challenges that we are presented and that we're trying to overcome right now. And so in creative thinking, it's, as Einstein said, it's one of my life quotes, you can't solve a problem from the perspective it was created in. And so let's start looking at things from different ways, with different eyes, with different thoughts, so that we can start to actually evolve and become and get ready for the challenges of tomorrow rather than trying to solve the problems of yesterday. Thank you.
Okay, without any additional commissioner comments, yes, Commissioner Chan?
Do they want any comments?
I don't see any hands up. Okay. That moves us to item number 14, executive session. And my gift to you tonight is we've canceled executive session. So that moves us to item 15, adjournment. So without objection, I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for your attendance.